Good morning, my name is Gabriel Somarriba, and today we're going to talk about plagiarism. Many people think that plagiarism is copying another work or borrowing someone else's original ideas, but terms like copying and borrowing can disguise the seriousness of this offense. Plagiarism is the act of taking another person's writing, conversation, song, or even idea and passing it off as your own. This includes information from the web page, books, songs, television shows, email, messages, interviews, articles, artworks, or any other medium. Whenever you paraphrase, summarize, or take words, phrases, or sentences from another person's work, it is necessary to indicate the source of the information within your paper using an internal citation. It is not enough to just list the source in a bibliography at the end of your paper. Failing to properly quote, cite, or acknowledge someone else's words or ideas with an internal citation is plagiarism. As a summary, plagiarize means to steal and pass off the ideas or words of another as one's own, to use another's production without crediting the source, to commit literary theft, and to present as new an original, an idea or product derived from an existing source. In most cases, you can avoid plagiarism by using the citing sources, as the APA format. This way you make sure that you're not stealing someone else's ideas because you're making clear it belongs to someone else. You acknowledge that certain material has been borrowed and providing your audience with the information necessary to find that source. Nowadays it's very common to copy media from other websites to paste them into your own papers, performing someone else's copyright musics and other cases. The legality of these situations and others will be dependent upon the intent and the context within which they are produced. The two safest approaches to take in regards to these situations is: number 1, avoid them altogether, or 2, confirm the work's usage permissions and cite them properly.
Good morning, my name is Monica Osorio, and I'm going to talk about why some students make plagiarism and the effect that this has. Sometimes students decide to plagiarize because they have never been punished for it, so most of the teachers never actually take the time to make sure the references their students use are real, accurate, or in some cases, they even miss to care about asking for those references. Nowadays, it's incredibly easy to get good grades in homeworks because we have a very quick access to tons of information all over the internet. Some of those resources come from very famous web pages, such as Wikipedia, that it cites exactly what we need in a very organized and practical way to finish all of the assignments duties on time. However, that information is not entirely safe, because anybody could go and change up what has been uploaded for a new data, and we can end up using wrong information in our homeworks. And a lot of students with high profile and excellent grades tend to do this as well. And this basically is showing us that our educational system has a lot of fails. We're not entirely learning by copying and pasting information from a website to an office work page, but sometimes, and most of the times, our grades reflect the opposite. A lot of schools are indirectly teaching their students to finish work and avoid learning, and the only thing we can gain from that is future professionals who will depend entirely to Google, Wikipedia, or any other site. Thanks to the concern that this is now causing, now there are bigger penalties for every area that we use plagiarism. In the case of students in high school or college, they often use another work unintentionally. Usually, now the schools are setting up penalties for those who are doing it and they found their plagiarist work. In some cases, when it's unintentionally, sometimes it's an accident or we don't actually know what we're doing, the consequences may be largely up to the teacher. So perhaps the students will receive no credit for the homework or will be warned about further consequences. And when it appears and it's actually proved that it's intentional, there may be a number of consequences, and this include failing the assignment or having to redo the whole homework. Even with that, some students may not be able to recover the grade or may automatically fail the course. Plagiarism for the professional. When we take this time, it's because the professional commits plagiarism, that stakes are even higher because we're supposed that we're all grown up and we already know what to do. This is because I believe this comes from committing plagiarism all over high school, because we never actually learn what to do, and now that we're working, we have to see what we have to do. When the plagiarism is intentional in a professional way, there may be a number of consequences. It includes sometimes legal actions, or when the citation to source material is omitted, the copyright laws have been violated. It's very, very dangerous. The original author of the work that has been plagiarism may have grounds to file a civil suit. Some of these lawsuits are highly publicized, which can use further damage to the plagiarism reputation. Moreover, the defendant may be liable for considerable monetary damages that must be paid off by planning. When we avoid plagiarism, we can consider the seriousness of these consequences, and we basically have to consider how important it is for us to avoid it at every cost. This may even be double checking that all the sources are properly cited within a place. While this may consume a great deal of time, it is worthwhile endeavor to avoid the academic, legal, and professional consequences that follow an accusation of plagiarism. Copying someone else's work and passing it off as one's own can come with serious consequences, and this can be personal, professional, or even legal, and it pretty much doesn't give us a very good reputation. But the consequences depend on how and where we do the plagiarism.
Okay, so as a conclusion, we may say that we need to avoid plagiarism because it doesn't make our works or our papers be legal or correct. We must learn how to paraphrase some text by using the citing sources like APA or MLA, and also to summarize the information and maybe using our own words, but always making clear that if we use someone else's idea, that it belongs to the other person. Also, it's very important to learn why plagiarism is bad, because sometimes the students, because of laziness or I don't know, they plagiarize and don't learn how to write an essay or a paper, and they go by their lives without learning this. That is very important for ourselves. Well, we must respect too that some ideas belong to other persons and that they work hard to bring that ideas to papers and works or books even. So if you learn how to summarize or paraphrase, you will not fall into plagiarism, and your papers will be in a good way and they will be legal. So I recommend all of you to learn how to use the citing sources and also how to avoid plagiarism, how to summarize and how to paraphrase. It is very important for your life.